Hey there, Shawna Karrasch here, coming to you from Chicago. I'm actually in Chicago to attend a Tony Robbins conference, or event, I guess. Anyway, so we have your Ask Shawna questions and answers coming to you on the road from Chicago. Okay, so this one comes from Mary Anna, and she says, I have a 2-year-old donkey who, before I got her, was subjected to having her front legs strapped up to teach her to submit to hoof trims, plus likely some cowboy fighting. I'm aware that her mother has to be tied with ropes to trim, so my donkey witnessed this as a foal. She is now very leery of human touch when I met her and bought her. We get along great now, and she will let me pick up her feet, but won't let me hold them up to finish cleaning them, and her off hind is the hoof she's most worried about. I conditioned both the bridge signal and the target, and she targets quite well. What steps should I take to teach her to build her confidence for letting me hold her feet up? At this point, she won't let anyone else touch her feet, so I'm going to have to trim them, and they need trimming. I have the equipment and am capable. Trimmed my horses years ago, but I'm going to be going slow with lots of lifts and set downs of feet. Please direct me as to steps I need to do to build her trust and confidence, when to click and to feed, and how to help her be willing and enjoy this process. Thank you, Shawna. Okay, well, so I'm really glad you got her started with the bridge conditioning and target training, because that is the first step towards building the trust, and I'm sure that's how you got to that trust where she's not so leery of at least you. And so I think of a couple steps here, because really to get her to do this, we want her to feel pretty trusting and confident with you handling her all over. I'm sorry, I got a little bit of a cold. I kind of like to go beyond what it's going to be like. So instead of just doing this, I like her to be comfortable. I think it'd be good to teach her where you can touch her all over, that she's really good with you touching her all over. Start where she's most comfortable, and maybe you've done this, so I'm just going to cover it just in case. Start touching where she's most comfortable. For a lot of horses, not all, because they're just not, they're not robots, but for a lot of horses, they're most comfortable if you touch them like on the shoulder. So start with like touching her on the shoulder, on the best side. Start there, just get her used to some tactile, and then move it around and move up the movement that goes with it, and get her stronger and stronger and better with all of those elements. So then going down her leg, and like you said, you've got her so she'll lift up her leg. So make sure that you can touch all her legs, and she's good with that, and her belly and her neck and ears and all those things that she's good with. That is going to go a long way towards building that trust. So even though we're trying to get to the feet, getting that really established and really strong will help her overall to think, whatever she's done to me is pretty good. So then the next thing I do, as you got to the feet, since you're kind of there already, is I would work on, excuse me again, I guess it's a little cold. Anyway, so then what I would do is I would work on just having her pick up her feet. So she learns how to pick up her feet, and then you can later interject. So she learns to kind of hold them up for just a little bit. So now you've got her lifting them up. I don't know if she just lifts them and puts them back down, or if she'll hold them up. But getting her to lift them all and building a really strong reinforcement history with that behavior of lifting and just holding them up will help her to have a good association. So as you go to the feet, she'll feel more relaxed there'll be a better association with something happening with the feet. So she'll be thinking, well, what do I do? Sometimes this really works out good. So it'll help to build up that time and build a trust as you're moving towards your goal of actually holding the feet and being able to pick them up and manipulate them more. So I would start with her feet, which are best, which sounds like her front feet are best, and that the off hind is the least. So start. And you can move and go from 1 to 1 to 1 to 1. But I would kind of build up the good, strong reinforcement history first with the front feet. Especially because she has the back hind issue. A lot of times horses will feel easier about the front foot. They'll kind of give it to you quicker and feel more secure with it. They seem to feel more defensive about the back feet, just as a general rule. That doesn't mean everybody get, of course. But so what I do is teach them the concept with the front feet. And you can still go the back feet a little bit, but make it really strong with both front feet. Go back and forth till she lets you hold it. And what you're going to look for, at first I want to just hold it really gently. And if she lets me do that for just a second with just a little bit of contact, click and reinforce that. And also, if you can, because mostly you can with horses, while I'm holding the feet, if I'm holding the one, sometimes if I'm holding it, the best way that I feed them is like if the horse is here. A lot of times I will take the food and I'll reach around and feed them behind me, so it's a little contortion-y looking, but that way you can hold it, you can feed and be reinforcing them while the foot is still in the air. So you're making that actual act be really stronger as well. The one side it'll be easier because you'll be able to, I find for me, because I feed from my right side, if I'm on their right side, it's easier for hold the foot and feed them directly, but when I'm on this side is where I have to. When I'm on the left side is when I tend to have to reach around and feed them. But if you can do that, or even if you just grab it and undercross and go there, whatever you can do, if you can feed them while their feet are held, that will help quite a bit. You don't need to do that because the bridge really does mark that time, so it does tell them, the clicker or the bridge signal, the whistle, the voice, whatever you're using, does tell them what you've just done is correct. But I find if you can actually bridge and then feed while you're still holding, it does a lot to kind of build that up and get them associating that good thing directly with that foot being held. So see if you can't try that. There was one horse I worked with that if I tried to feed her while I was holding her foot, she got so distracted about the eating she wouldn't let me hold her foot. I mean, I didn't get through it because I was only with her a few days, but you could, but mostly they're pretty good about that. So I would build up there. As you go to the back feet, start with the best back foot first. As you go to the back foot, look for, again, her to pick it up and then for you to gently hold it. And in all of the feet, what you're looking for is when you're holding it, you can kind of feel. Now, if she panics, I'd let it go. I don't want her to panic because sometimes hanging on to it can just make her panic more. So if she wants it back, you say, you got it. I'm not going to hold it. Especially because if she's been roped and hogtied and, all the things that they might do to her, she feels that constraint probably makes her afraid. So if she panics even slightly, like with some horses, if they're kind of calm and they're just kind of trying to figure it out, I'll stay with them a little bit as long as they don't feel like they're escalating or nervous or panicky about it. But sometimes a little bit, like, I'm with you, I'm still with you. But with her, I wouldn't do it a bit. If she wants to let go, I'd say you can let go. I'm just not going to reinforce you. I'll reinforce you when I have it, but let that go. But so as you're holding it, you may feel like a little bit of tension in there, like it's just a little tight. When you feel her start to soften and relax, just start. Doesn't have to be all the way, but when you feel her kind of settle into your hand a little bit, I click and reinforce that. So you're clicking on the action or bridging whatever signal, whichever one you choose as a bridge signal, you're marking the moment time of the act of relaxation. And remember, whatever you click on is what you'll see more of. So click on the behavior you want to see more of. So as you feel her maybe be intense, but you feel her just soften slightly, click and draw attention to that moment in time, and that's the one you're going to see repeated. So continue along that for a bit, and I think you're going to see her looking, and she's going to look forward to doing it. Another thing too, you may do this just for a little bit at the beginning of a session and then go do something else for a little bit. A lot of times when they have such tension around the behavior, which I imagine it is tense for her because she's worried about what's going to happen, she has such a bad history with it, that she remembers that and she thinks, when's it going to happen? I know it might happen. So because sometimes they can get on edge. So sometimes I say, hey, let's do a couple of that and then let's go do something else. So you let her kind of get away from doing that for a little bit. Go do something fun that she likes to do or work on something else you're working on, as long as it doesn't conflict in the criteria. You wouldn't want to work on leg lifts and Spanish walk, that'd be a mess. But, so as long as it's something different, maybe it's targeting doing something else. So you can use that as a bit as a little break. So you're reinforcing her by saying, that's good. That's all we had to do. Just a little, let's go do something else for a little bit. And then maybe come back and just do one or two and then end there. Or another thing that is really a powerful tool is if you go in and say, can I have your leg? And once she's getting a little bit better at it, say, can I have your leg? Hold the leg for a second. Say, that's it. That's all you had to do. So it's really short and sweet. It doesn't go on and on and on, because sometimes we go on and on and on with those tense sessions. Even though they're getting reinforced, they can still be kind of revving up a little bit and getting a little worrisome. So give her little breaks from that, and sometimes just do those really short and sweet sessions. So give her a lot, like you can feed her dinner, just say, can I hold your foot? Good, here's your dinner. So once she's good at that, that'll just make it stronger and stronger and stronger. Then, once you got that done, the next thing I want you to do is then I would start introducing another person, just standing like, you should be, the other person would be like 5 feet away, but just have it do it with the other person near you. And then just do real brief, and then I would come back and have the other person closer, and then the other person closer, and then I'd have maybe the other person, you pick it up, but they feed. So you pick it up and click, and then they feed, and then maybe start having them just ask for her to lift it up, then they feed. So you kind of shift and get her used to, but do it where you're there and that person is just in proximity, and then pretty soon maybe have the other person just ask for it and then feed. You can still do the clicking and guide them through it, but pretty soon you can get that other person to be lifting up their feet as well. Then what I do is start with a different person. So she starts learning this is a big general thing, and everybody's really pretty good about it, not just you, as they get so focused on that. Now the thing too, I can't tell you how long this is going to take because it's up to her. We can't say, we can't set our agenda. They have to set the agenda. So I would just follow and make sure you sliver it down to the smallest little slices you can so that you can make it very simple and just this little level. We're just working on this, we're just working on this, we're working on this. And then so just, and where it gets sticky, you'll find you're going to need to go more time, and some things she'll be easier about, and that part will go faster. So let her set the pace, and I think if you just keep watching and paying attention to her, you'll go along just fine, and she'll be doing great. And it's really good to hear how well you've done with her, Mariana, because that's really, it just does my heart good to know this little donkey can kind of start to trust people again, because she didn't have such good people in her life, I don't think. Anyway, so thanks for asking, and I'd love to hear where you are with everything. I know there's a little time lapse because of getting my camera situation sorted out. So I would love to hear where you are now with this. So please don't hesitate to give me an update or a post, or see if maybe you're a different place and I can help you through this next phase. All right, so if you or anybody else has questions, please don't hesitate to get a hold of me at askshawna.com or shawnakarrasch.com, or even Ask Shawna Facebook page. Anyway, until next time, enjoy getting your horse on target. Bye-bye.